Now, welcome along to the class. Just setting up a couple of minutes early here just to make sure everything is okay with sound, picture quality, everything. So you'll just excuse me if I'm adjusting, moving around a little bit. Let's get my feet down another little bit. Okay, so sound seems to be working okay there. So you're very welcome along to this session. Firstly, my name is Shane. I'll be delivering the class today as I have over the last couple of weeks. All we want for today's session is just to have yourself a good sturdy chair. And if we have a couple of weights, if not, you can use tins, filled bottles. So just to give that kind of chance for you to go and get, if you want, any tins, anything like that. This is a collaboration between Siel, Bleu Ireland and the Irish Cancer Society, just delivering these staying well while staying home classes. The class can be performed entirely in a seated position or in a standing position, whatever works best for you. I will lead most of the session in a standing position, but as I say, I want you to adapt and do whatever works for you. So the key is any movement that causes pain, not to continue with it, just change the exercise. We want to push hard, give ourselves a good challenge, but within our own kind of comfort level. So I know some people have mentioned that they break the workout up over the day, and that's fine, whatever way works best for you. So just going to give you another minute there just to allow everyone to tune in, and then we'll get started. I should have mentioned as well, having a bottle of water is always good just to have ready. So I will get my timer ready just for when we begin our circuit. And again, any issues, just do let me know in the comments there, and I'll check in. So that'll be us. And that will also be us. Right. Okay, so still just now approaching into 10. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll get started now. So just going to bring that camera down just a touch once more. And you can see that. Okay, so we'll get started. Again, my name is Shane, so you're very welcome along to the session. Any questions, any issues, do just let me know in the comments. We're going to get started now, taking our warm-up first. So what I want to do is I'll lead some of this in a standing position, but by all means, sit down to your chair if you prefer. I'm going to lift my shoulders up and roll slowly back. Just a nice movement to begin with. I always like to start around my shoulders just to get a little bit of movement. I just think lifting backwards in circles. So there's 4 points: forward, up, back, and down. Getting as much of a loop as I can. Nice big circles from my shoulders. And I'm just going nice and slow, not rushing through this movement. And then I will change direction. So now I'm bringing the shoulders forward in circles. And I like to think of separating the shoulders from the rest of my body here. So all that movement is from my shoulders. Slowly forward in circles. Perfect. Next movement. So I want to bring hands to my shoulders and just begin lightly bringing the elbows in front. So the next couple of movements, I kind of like to include these, and I have over the last couple of weeks. Find them very helpful. Just a few of stiffness, tightness around the chest, shoulders, and that's something I have come across when delivering classes like this live. So progressing and now lifting the two elbows up together. That feels okay. And then I want to pause, keep the two elbows elevated. I open the right elbow and then open my left elbow. So one at a time, opening out to the sides. Right elbow and left elbow. And I just think of opening out any kind of tightness around the chest or shoulders. And just going nice and slow. And then I'll progress, and now opening my 2 elbows together. So just bringing the elbows from front to side, opening up any tightness around the chest, and connecting with your shoulders, and just our upper body, just opening out our upper body a little bit, connecting with it. And back down. Perfect. One more movement to the shoulder. I'm going to bring right hand to shoulder and just begin lightly drawing circles with my elbow, but ultimately powered and movement from that shoulder. Slowly around in circles. And then I will change direction. Nice and slow to begin. And then we'll swap sides. Left hand to my shoulder. And again, that elbow, drawing circles. Nice and slow around in circles. And then I will change direction, just continuing on. And back down. Perfect. So my chair is here as I move into my lower body. Starting to get a little bit of movement. What I want to do first is just to lightly kick the legs out. Just extend the legs out. Again, I can hold, as I say, I hold on to my chair for a little bit of support, just so I'm not feeling unbalanced. And I think the purpose of this warm-up is just bringing heart rate up, warming up the body, loosening out all the joints. I think preparing for some of the main work that we will do. Now, from there, I just wanted to start lifting the knees. Again, I don't need to go really fast or anything. I'm just trying to get a nice lift in the knees, connecting with my hips. And then I want to lightly dig the heels behind. So kicking heels towards bum. Think of this one. And again, holding on to your chair if you want for a little bit of support here. Okay, now, again, I just want to lightly extend, kick the legs out directly in front, just nice and light, kicking the legs out. And then again, just bringing the knees up one at a time. And I feel myself warming up now, everything loosening out. And again, nice and light, kicking the heels behind. Again, just think heel towards bum. Kicking back, connecting with the back of the legs a little bit here. And from there, next, what I want to do, just make sure I'm in shot there. Dig the heels out one at a time. Just connecting with the back of my lower legs a little bit here, so the calves. Just digging the heels out. And then I will swap and begin tapping the toes out in front. So nice and light, tapping my toes out. Keeping my body moving. And then once more, digging the heels out. Just continuing, digging the heels. And then once more, tapping the toes out in front. Nice and light, just tapping the toes out. One final movement. In my warm-up, I bring my right foot up and I slowly go around in circles. And I always works paying a little bit of attention to the ankle, particularly as we go into our aerobic block of work where we have a lot of movement. So we'll just make sure that the ankle feels switched on. It's not tight, it's ready to move. Change direction, again, nice and slow. Just avoiding going really fast here. That's part of the challenge. Keep it nice and slow with this action. And down. Swapping side, my left foot is up. Slowly around in circles. Again, just avoiding any kind of speed here. Keeping it nice and slow. And then to reverse. Change direction. Nice and slow with those circles. And then just finish out, marching out again. Just keeping our body moving. Just want to make sure everything is working out okay there. All seems okay. Perfect. So what we are going to do is move into our aerobic block of work. So I'm going to get my timer here. This is where we will keep our body moving essentially. The idea is that we have a couple of movements that we will perform and it will be broken up by marching. We'll be on the clock for a good block of time. And this is building up endurance in the lungs. I think equivalent to a brisk walk, being on a treadmill, being on a bike. And you think a day like this where I am, it's very gloomy, raining outside, so that can be actually quite difficult at the moment. So that's the purpose, to get up and give ourselves a little bit of a challenge with this one. Every movement can be performed in a seated position if you prefer. So I'm going to start this off. My clock is on. We're going to start in about 20 seconds time. Okay. So my first movement, just checking everything here. One arm pull back. So what I want to do is, to begin, I want to bring my two arms directly in front. Start the clock. And I want to step to the right, pull the arm back. Step to the left, pull the arm back. So what this is doing, I'm working the back of my shoulder and I'm bringing a little side step. So I like my aerobic movement. I like the movements to have a purpose, have a function. And this can be a nice way to connect with the back of my shoulder and just kind of work on any general tightness, stiffness around the upper body. But I keep it fluid by adding a little side step. If I'm performing this in a seated position, all I want to do is, as I'll demonstrate, just tap the toes as you bring the arm out to the side. So like this in a seated position. If we're standing, we just bring it into a full side step. And rest. So now what that means is we bring it into a march. So we've only started, so we should feel okay. As we go on, as it gets more difficult, we might like to use our march to slow the pace right down and catch our breath. So I'm going to turn this guy down just a touch. And into our next movement. So I want to soften the knees and I want to just imagine stepping over an object here. I want to keep my direction lateral, so side to side. I'm not too straight in this position. I just soften my knees and hips, a slight little hinge, and I'm stepping side to side. So how that looks from the side. You can see I have a slight little tilt, and I want to keep the movement completely lateral, side to side here. So I'm not allowing my knee to come forward at all. I want to keep it directly side to side, so from the hips. And once more. And then bringing it back to march. So they're your first two movements. So we have two more to add. We're going to use our chair for the next movement. And I should say in that last one again, just step side to side if in a seated position. So best way to demonstrate this next one, standing position, holding onto your chair. I want to lift my right knee up and then step back. So right knee up and step back, and we'll continue like that. So again, the purpose is I keep myself moving, I'm always active, keeping the body working all the time. We're just discovering movements on this first round. As we get more comfortable and more confident with the movements, we can then start to push a little bit harder. But keep it simple. Drive the right knee up and a small step back. I won't go excessive between each position. So I want to lift to a height that's comfortable and step back as far as comfortable. If in a seated position, I want to focus on a big lift of the knee, getting a good big lift and back down. Okay. Swapping back to a march. So again, if I'm finding that pace a bit tough, I slow my march right down. Air in, back out. Air in, back out. If it feels very comfortable so far, continue to march at a good pace. And into next movement. Holding the chair with my left hand now. I'll drive my left knee up and a little step back. So knee up, step back. So again, I might start kind of slow and light, just getting a feel for the movement. As I get more comfortable, I can start to go with a little bit more intensity and power into the movements in general. So again, knee up, small step back. So it's all aerobic, but each movement has a purpose, has a function. You're working the hip here. We worked on our shoulder, and we also had hip in a previous movement as well. Every movement has a purpose within the context of aerobic, work in the lungs, heart, giving our body a good challenge. Back to march. Okay, so they are your 4 movements. If all of that felt okay, and we'll just prolong this one a little bit, what I want you to do is continue on, give yourself a good challenge, going at a good pace. So a way to think how hard to push. I should be able to, I would struggle to sing a song because I'm working. There's a little pant in the breath. Might feel a little bit of challenge, but I'm not so breathless that I couldn't get words out. We should be able to talk. We're not pumping sweat, anything like that. Any movement you didn't like, adapt and perform in a seated position instead. Okay, so back on, repeating those same 4 movements. Back to the start. Arms in front, step to the right, pull the arm back. And I do the same on the left. So just a side step with pull back. So again, there's a little coordination involved. I'm now familiar. I know what to expect from the 4 movements. Now I'm going at a nice moderate intensity that I know is comfortable. It's giving me a challenge, but I'm still in control. Nothing feels painful. Nothing is really uncomfortable, but I do feel a good challenge. Again, arm just goes from front to side, pulling back, keeping that arm up at roughly shoulder level. And the main thing is we just keep our body moving all the time during this block of aerobic work. Last couple of seconds. And then back to march. Again, as you go on, this march becomes important in that it gives you a little chance to slow the pace down a bit if you need, catch your breath, use it as recovery. Everything is okay so far, so I'm just continuing to march at a good moderate pace here. Second movement, soften the knees. I like to bring my hands together as I step lateral, side to side. I have a slight hinge forward here as well. And I just make sure my plane of movement is side to side. Imagine a little object on the ground and you're stepping over and back. So I'm not dragging the feet. It's lifting directly lateral, side to side. Breathing all the time, never holding my breath on the movement. You can put hands on the hips if you prefer on this one. People might like to do it like that. Again, just make sure the pace is related to what works for you. It's not about matching my speed or intensity. It's going at a pace that's comfortable, moderate challenge for you. Back to march. So I have a little clock shouting at me. You mightn't hear it, but we're about 50 seconds on for movement and then 20 seconds march always. So I'm just going to set up for my next movement, having my chair at the ready. So my right hand on the chair, and let's begin. I drive my knee up with a small step back. Knee up, step back. Okay, so again, I'm going at a pace that's comfortable, where I'm getting a nice challenge. Good lift of the knee with a small step back. We don't want to lunge fully back, anything like that, or push too high. Just work in a range that feels good to you. Very good movement. Working the hip here. Remember, if we're in a seated position, we just want to focus on a big high lift of the right knee. Just focusing on that right knee, driving up. Again, my body stays nice and tall. I'm not bending or leaning into this position. And back to march. Okay, so we're just back marching out again. That's nearly 2 rounds finished. Doing great work so far. Remember, just doing everything at a pace that's good to you. Again, left hand on the chair now. And I'll lift my left knee up. Small step back. Left knee up, and we continue on. Again, I'm lifting to a height that's comfortable to me with a small little step back. So quite a dynamic movement. I'm working my left hip as I drive the knee up, and my right leg is keeping me strong and balanced in this position. Upper body stays nice and tall. And again, think of the overall context, all this movement. We never really stop moving here, so we're giving our body that good aerobic challenge, working the lungs in particular. Always moving. A little bit of a pant in my breath and my voice as I'm working hard. And back to march. Again, I'm just going to move my chair out of the way a little bit. So marching out, you have one final round to complete those movements. So again, anything's feeling a little bit tough, slow the pace down. Maybe prefer seated. If everything feels okay, let's continue on, giving ourselves a good challenge. So arms out, I like to clench the hands. Step to the right, pull the arm back. And step to the left, pulling arm back. So again, the side step just keeps the movement dynamic, keeps the body moving. And we're getting a nice pull back of the shoulder. Movement goes from front to side as I pull the arm back. So I can get a little extra work on the shoulder, back of the shoulder, which does sometimes get neglected. And if we do just generally feel tight, stiff around the upper body, this can be a very nice movement. So again, just incorporating movements into our aerobic work that can be useful and helpful. Last couple of seconds here. And back to march. So again, if you're finding the pace a little bit tough, slow that march right down. Rest, recover, air in through the nose, but we're still moving. We're still keeping active. If everything feels okay, continue to march at a nice moderate pace, keeping my arms moving as well. Next movements. Soften the knees, so a little tilt here. Hands on the hips if you like, and step side to side. Or hands together, whatever way feels best to you. Again, I make sure that I don't drag the feet along the floor. Just think of a small step side to side every time. I think of the hips working here, going side to side. So I'm not allowing my knee to carry forward at all here. I try and keep the movement as lateral, side to side as I can. If you're in a seated position, I just want you to open the left leg and then open the right leg, one at a time, stepping out to the sides. And back to march. Just setting up my chair again. So continue to march out. This will be our knee lift with step back next. Continuing to move. I'm going to get set up now. Right hand on my chair. And final time on that right side. Knee up and a little step back. My body stays tall and strong. I lift the knee up, connecting with my hip. And I just take a little small step back here. Nice dynamic movement. This left leg keeping me strong and balanced. But I am also supported by my chair here as well. Again, I'm just keeping my body moving. Giving myself a good challenge. Not so much that I'm completely breathless, but I might find it difficult, for example, to sing a song right now because I am working hard. And back to march. Again, if you're finding the pace tough, you're slowing it right down, just catching your breath, or a good moderate pace if everything feels okay. Okay, so we're going to swap over to the next side now. So that means left hand on chair, knee up, and small step back. Again, my upper body stays nice and strong, nice and tall. I just drive my left knee up with a small step back. Breathing all the time. And continuing on. So our final movements. Again, you're going at a pace that's good for you. I don't want anyone feeling they have to match me exact. And if you want to do anything in a seated position, that's absolutely fine. I want you to do what you can. So we're just continuing on. About 10 seconds to finish out here. And rest. Okay, so that's our aerobic block of work finished. So we're going to take a little break. So what I want to do is just grab a drink of water. Give yourself a little rest. Take a couple of seconds. And then we'll move into our strength work. So just remember the purpose of that was building up a little endurance in the lungs. Think of it that way, like you're on a bike, a treadmill, building up a little bit of endurance that we can, especially think on a day like this, as I say, where it is raining, where I am, where it might be hard to do any of those things. So next we're going to move into our strength work. Again, I will lead the movements from a standing position, but any movement can be performed in the same manner from a seated position. So I'm just going to adjust my clock. Again, we work for blocks of time, so think there's no pressure with the amount of repetitions you get. It's just about working within the block of time as comfortable as you can. Doing as many reps as you comfortably can in that block of time. So, movement number 1. I'm going to turn side on for this movement. So this is a good adaptation. If you are somebody who finds the squat or any kind of sit to stand a difficult movement, maybe there's an issue with hips and you just don't like it, this is a nice substitute. Working the leg, the same area, working the thigh. So what I want to do is, I should say first of all, if you want, in a seated position, you can do this action, leg extension, but we are going to do a standing version. So how it looks, let me bring my chair in. So what I want to do is, I'm going to hold the chair I'm going to hold on to the chair, my left hand. What I want to do is lift my right knee and extend the leg and back down. So again, lift the knee, extend the leg. So the action is to work on my thigh here. I lightly tap the toes down to the floor and then extend the leg. So think 2 parts, knee up, extend the leg, and just continue on. So I'm keeping my upper body strong and straight in this position. My left leg just stays strong as well. And I focus on raising the knee and then extend. I like to just separate the movement that little bit, as opposed to swinging the leg out. Think knee up, straighten or extend the leg out. Continuing on, looking to feel a little bit of tension or work in my thigh here. And again, this is a really nice adaptation if you have struggled or find the squat, sit to stand, an uncomfortable movement, and rest. Okay, so take a couple of seconds, maybe just shake the legs out a little bit. Just bring that camera down just a touch. Okay, so next we're going to work from the left leg. Same pattern. Holding on to the chair for a little bit of support. I would always take a little bit of support on this one. Left knee up, extend the leg, and back down. So knee up, extend the leg. And we continue on. Again, I think a little bit of separation, that I'm not swinging my leg. Knee comes up, extend the leg, back down. Knee up, extend the leg. I try not to rest for too long on the floor. I think a tiny little tap down of the toes, and then I'm straight back up into the movement. So I'm trying to keep a little bit of tension on my thigh here. Again, knee up, extend the leg. Upper body stays strong. Just making sure I'm not bending forward in this position or arching my back at all. I just want all the tension through my thigh. Seated position, exactly the same movement, just extending the leg out. We don't need to focus so much on the knee. And back down. So just lightly walk it out. Just shake the legs out a little bit after that movement. Next, what I want to do is grab a weight. Okay. So now we're going to take one dumbbell. And again, this is another adaptation. So if you are somebody who's found difficulty maybe with any kind of raise, pressing of the shoulders, and this is something I've come across in classes, this is a nice adaptation, building up a little bit of endurance in the shoulder. So very quickly, if you're in a seated position, what I want you to try and do is hold the dumbbell and just focus on lifting the knee. So like a waiter would hold a tray. I want like that. If that's uncomfortable, hold the weight by your side. For those of us standing, we now bring our clock on. Again, I want you to hold that weight as if you were holding a tray. So my elbow is in front, in line with my shoulder. And I begin lightly tapping the chair with my right foot. So I'm working my hip and a little bit of endurance through my shoulder here as I continue to hold that weight. If this is an uncomfortable position for your shoulder with the weight, I would simply drop it down to my side and continue to hold without resting the weight against my hip. So we worked this version last week where we held it like this. We've progressed today to now holding from a higher position, putting a little bit more challenge on the shoulder if it feels comfortable. And I'm also working that hip as I raise the knee up. I'm just lightly tapping the chair without putting any weight onto it. I'm just lightly tapping. If your chair is a little bit high, a little bit awkward, maybe we want to just focus on lifting the knee without a chair tap. And rest down. So again, we have a couple of seconds. I'll just turn this around and we're going to work on the left side. So remember, again, it doesn't matter if you're doing this seated, standing, whatever way works best for you and whichever version feels best to you. So again, I will set up. I'm holding the weight in my left hand. My elbow is roughly in line with my shoulder, as if I was holding a waiter carrying a tray. And I begin lightly tapping chair. Again, I don't need to go too fast with this one. I want to make sure I feel strong and balanced in this position. If I didn't, I wouldn't force myself in this position. I could lower the weight if that's feeling uncomfortable on the shoulder, and I might feel stronger going like this. If I feel comfortable, I hold the weight up. Again, I feel strong, I feel balanced, plenty of challenge, never rushing this movement. Building up a little bit of endurance to those shoulder and working my hip as I lift the knee up. Continuing on. Last couple of seconds, I would think. And one. Excellent. Now, next movement, just going to move my chair out of the way. I want to take hold of my two dumbbells and we're going to work an arm curl. So front of the arm, we're going to work bicep, and then finally we'll work back of the arm tricep. So nice ones to finish. Next two movements can again be performed in a seated position if you prefer. So let's begin. Holding the weights by my side, I lift and rotate up and back down. So again, lift and rotate. So think of the hands turning towards the shoulders as you curl the weight up. I like this little rotation on my curl just to really connect and open up the arm. Nice movement from the elbows. So again, you're just lifting the weights up and curling towards your shoulders. Showing a couple from the side. When I'm standing, I want to make sure my back is strong. So make sure that we're never kind of arching into the movement. Keep all the work through your arms from a seated position if this felt uncomfortable. I curl the weights up and then I stretch it all the way back down. I'm keeping the elbows roughly by my sides here. Curl and then stretch the arm back out. And rest down. Okay, so we take a couple of seconds. Again, we always have rest between. We have about 20 seconds between each movement, just giving you a chance to rest, recover, take a drink of water. Next, we will work tricep, back of the arm. Again, seated version. If you don't like the standing version I do, what you can do is sit forward, lean the body, elbows back, and press the weights. If we're okay with my standing version, what I want us to do is hold the two weights, soften your knees, and just bring those hips back. So again, you'll see my hips back, 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 elbows up, pressing the weights behind. Just pressing the weights back. I want to make sure my back stays straight. I'm not bending in this position, and I'm pushing the weights from my elbows. So I think of my upper arm staying in a fixed position. The movement is from the elbows. So what I avoid is the entire arm moving. So just think from the elbows is where our movement comes from. If this is a difficult position, I want you to sit back to the chair, lean your body forward, elbows back, and pressing the weights in exactly the same manner. So last couple of repetitions here. 2, 1, and rest. Okay, so we'll rest the weights down and take a little breather. So that's your first round finished. Take a drink of water. Just take a little reset, catch your breath. And then we will go into that circuit again. So I always say when I've completed one round of a circuit, just check in with your body. Ask yourself, how did that feel? If there was a movement you just didn't like that caused pain, then I would immediately just say to change that exercise. Don't persist if it's painful, or as I say, if you just really don't like the movement pattern, just to change it. Anything performed seated, if we prefer. If it all felt okay, we'll just continue on again, giving ourselves a nice challenge. So, I'm going to put the clock on again. We'll start in about 30 seconds here. So again, there's no rush. Grab a quick drink of water if you want. And we'll begin with our standing leg extension again. So I think I will show this again from the side view is probably the best. Again, there's no rush. We have about 15 seconds. We don't want to rush these rest times. We use them. Rest, recover, catch your breath. And then we're going to go standing leg extension. So we'll set up now. Hand is on the chair. Body is tall. And let's begin. My right knee up. Extend the leg. And back down. Knee up. Extend the leg. Again, my body stays strong and straight in this position. I break this down a little bit in that I lift the knee and then extend the leg. I try not to swing the leg and turn it into a really rapid movement. Knee up, straighten the leg. Again, not resting for very long on the floor. I just think my toes lightly tap the ground, straight back up. Putting lots of work and tension through my thigh. Again, a really nice movement, adaptation. If you find squats a difficult movement, you just maybe with the hips, maybe there's an issue there, this can be a really nice adaptation. And we can perform the same movement in a seated position, a seated leg extension, if we need. And one more. And back down. So again, I'm just going to, on my rest time, just shake the legs out. Just like to move a little bit on the spot. Just get a little blood flow through the legs. So we'll set up for the opposite side next. So again, I'm going to hold on to the chair. I think it is important. I would always take support on this one. So I'm strong, balanced. And I will begin. Left knee up. Straighten the leg out. And back down. Knee up. Extend the leg. Upper body stays strong and tall in this position. Bring my knee up. Extend the leg. Again, I'm trying to connect with my thigh here. I like to place the hand there sometimes, and I can feel the muscle, the contraction, the connection of the muscle working here. Again, my toes lightly tap the ground and then straight up. So I'm trying not to rest for too long on the floor. I'm keeping a little bit of tension through my leg. Again, if you're uncomfortable with this one, you can perform a leg extension from the chair in a seated position. Again, let's keep it controlled. Naturally, we might start to rush as we get a little bit tired, but let's keep it strong and controlled. Knee up and then extend. So I'm not swinging the leg at all on this one. One more rep and back down. Great work there. Not an easy one. It mightn't look too hard, but I'm sure we'll find that's not easy. Next, we're going to take hold of one dumbbell. If you remember, this is my hold, working the shoulder, whether that's directly in front like this, keeping elbow in line with your shoulder. Think like a waiter holding a tray. And then I will lightly tap. So again, I'm not rushing on this movement. Just lightly tap. So I'm working my hip as I lift that knee, working that shoulder, maintaining that weight. If I find this uncomfortable, if I felt in any way unbalanced or wasn't good for my shoulder, I could hold the weight by my side here instead. Lifting the knee, bearing the weight. Again, I like this movement just as an alternative. That's what I'm trying to show in today's section, both with squat, shoulder. If these are areas that are difficult, there's still ways we can bring a little bit of weight into the movement and hopefully don't cause any pain or issues. So if you find overhead presses, lateral raises, front raises, anything like that difficult on the shoulder, something like this might be a nice alternative for now, building up a bit of strength. So rest the weight down onto the left hand. Again, your position is fine. I'm just turning for the camera, that's all. Again, I have a little bit of rest on the clock, so I'll take my couple of seconds. I'm just lightly moving in between. And then I will set up. So now, left hand, elbow, roughly in line with shoulder. And I begin. I lightly tap, back down. Mindful that one side might feel stronger than the other. Maybe one shoulder isn't as strong as the other. Maybe you need to hold the weight on your side, and that's absolutely fine. Just adapt, change, make this best exercise for you. It's not about matching exactly what I do. So whether you're adapting or performing this seated, just working as hard as you comfortably can. Again, I'm working my hip, I'm working that shoulder. My body stays straight, and I continue at a nice, comfortable pace. I don't want to go too fast here. And if that shoulder gets tired, I'll lower the weight down to my sides. Last couple of reps. Doing really good work here today. And rest. Brilliant work. So, taking our 2 dumbbells next, we will move into our arm curl and that little rotation again. So, do about 10 seconds. So let's set up. We have our 2 weights, holding them by our side, and I will begin the movement. I lift the weights and rotate as I curl up, and then back down. So lift and rotate. So I think connecting with my arms, I'm getting that nice rotation as I curl the weights up. Again, for me, that's just going to connect with the arm a little bit better and just open out the bicep a little bit more on this one. Like adding this little rotation. A couple from the side, how that looks. I keep the elbows roughly in by my side here, so they're not lifting forward. And I just lift and curl the weight towards shoulder. As I curl the weights towards the shoulder, I physically squeeze the weights, the tins, the bottles, whatever's in your hand, and just try and get an extra little bit of connection with the arms. And then slowly lower back down. Breathing, I think exhale as I curl up. Inhale as I lower the weight. And rest. So continuing to hold 2 weights. I just want to demonstrate for the back of the arm. Again, if you didn't like the standing version I did last time, you can sit forward in your chair, nice and tall, lean forward, elbows back, press the weights behind. So you're working exactly the same way, but supported by your chair. If it felt okay in standing, how we do this one, we soften our knees, push the hips back, 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 elbows up, press the weights behind. You can allow the weights to come forward a little bit, but I just make sure pressing back from the elbows. My back is straight, so I'm not bending my back. And all the work, think from your elbow, pushing back. 2 things I would always think on this movement. If I feel a connection with the back of the arm, good. And if I don't feel any kind of pain, discomfort with my back, good. So if you can say yes to those 2 things, this is okay. If not, I would sit down to the chair. and give yourself that little bit of support. Again, this movement can look a little bit different. It doesn't have to look exactly as I perform it, but if your back feels good and you feel a little connection with the back of the arms. And rest. Second round finished. Really good work. So again, let's take a rest. Might take a little water break. And we'll perform 1/3 and final round of our circuit. So as I've been saying throughout the couple of weeks, if you feel you've done enough after 2 rounds, that's absolutely fine. There's no pressure because we do work quite hard in these sessions. So if you felt you needed rest and you've done enough and want to maybe come back to it later, that's fine. But if we feel good with everything, we will do 1/3 and final round of our circuit. Again, just ask yourself, was there anything there you didn't like that caused pain? Maybe you want to adapt to a seated position or just to change the exercise. So, if, however, everything feels good, we're going to go back to the start, beginning in about 30 seconds here. So again, I'm just going to set this first one up. My standing leg extension, so side on again. We still have about 15 seconds, so we're not going to rush in. We'll take our time. I'll work my right leg first, so facing the camera. So set up. Left hand, I'm going to hold on to the chair. The body is tall. And let's begin. I'm going to bring my right knee up and straighten the leg out. So again, knee up, straighten the leg out. I lightly tap the foot down, just a tiny little reset. We're keeping lots of tension on that leg, so try not to rest for too long, unless I need. If I'm starting to run out of a little bit of steam on this one, I might take a longer pause at the bottom here. I make sure that body stays tall, and I try and keep as much control on the movement as I can. As we work in this final round, we might start to swing the leg a little bit. We want to try and keep it steady and controlled. And again, I think working the thigh here. That's why I sometimes put my hand there and feel the muscle, the leg, working hard on this one. Last couple of seconds. And rest down. So again, I'm just going to lightly shake the legs. I always like after leg, hip movements, just to lightly walk out on the spot. Just get a little bit of movement from when it feels a little bit tense when you're working a muscle like that. So we'll get set up for the opposite side. Now my right hand holds the chair. My body is tall. And I'll begin working the left leg. So knee up, extend the leg. And just as well, we don't want to go too harsh. So that's why that little separation can be nice. Again, that we're not swinging the leg. It's knee up, extend the leg. Lift the knee to a height that's comfortable. Don't go excessively high here that it feels uncomfortable. Enough to allow you to comfortably extend the leg out. My toes lightly tap back to the floor. And I continue on. I'm not resting for too long on the floor, if possible. But if I am running out of steam a little bit, I might take a longer break. Again, that upper body stays strong. I'm not arching the back here. I make sure everything stays strong. About 10 seconds left for this movement. So there's no pressure with the number of reps. You just do as many as you comfortably can within your 60-second block. And down. So shaking the legs out. And that's how we work. 60 seconds per movement and 20-25 seconds rest in between each movement. And that's kind of a format we've been working with the last couple of weeks. So next movement. Grabbing one dumbbell. My chair is in front and my waiter holds. So again, my elbow in line with my shoulder, bearing the weight. I lightly tap and back down. So again, a couple of points. I'm working that shoulder, bearing the weight, even a little bit of grip strength here. My hip is active as I lift the knee. If I felt, number one, the shoulder felt a little bit, it wasn't comfortable, or I felt unbalanced, I would drop the weight down to my side, and we're still going to put a little bit of endurance through that shoulder, bearing the weight. If I still didn't like this movement, I would then move to a seated position, lifting the knee, holding the weight in whatever way is comfortable. Avoid going too fast here. It's a tough position to hold, so just maintain and lifting the knee. And down. Rest the weight down, swap hand, and again, you're kind of good to go. I just turn my chair for the camera, that's all, just so you have a good view of the movements. Anyway, we have a couple of seconds to rest, recover, kind of check in. How does that all feel so far? Can I still talk? Can I still get words out? I should be able to talk still, not so working so hard that I'm breathless and couldn't get any words out. So left hand, elbow in line with shoulder, lightly tap back down. Again, I just like physically having that chair, but you may prefer to have that chair out of the way and just focus on lifting the knee. So it could look like just a small lift of the knee as high as is comfortable. Perfectly fine. Every movement can be adapted. Just taper it, make it work whatever way is best for you. Again, if my shoulder's running out of power, I just don't like this position, I will hold it down by my side. And equally, if I felt unbalanced, and if that still didn't feel good, I would take up my seated position, lifting the knee, bearing the weight in whatever way is comfortable to you. Last couple of reps. And down. Brilliant. So, final two movements. And I do always say, as we approach the end of the circuit, don't feel if you felt really tired and needed a break, don't force it through just because we're near the end. Whether it's the first or last exercise, rest, recover as needed. So don't push yourself through if you're finding it's getting really tough now. If we're okay, we're going to hold the two weights by our sides, lift and rotate. So I'm just lifting the weights up, curling towards my shoulders. Again, I keep the elbows roughly in by my side, and I just lift and rotate towards my shoulders. I like to physically clench, whether it's the weight, the tins, bottle that's in your hand, curl up, slowly down, stretch the position out. I like this little rotation in the movement just to really open up the arm. And I think front of the arm, biceps with this one. A couple of reps from the sides. Again, I make sure my body stays strong. We're never arching our back into this one, so do be mindful of that. All the work through your arms. Last rep or two. And one more. And down. Okay. Final movement, we want to work back of the arm. So again, I do want to show this every time. If you find the standing version hard, you find it hard to hinge into the position, I would suggest sitting down. Forward in my chair, I would tilt a nice straight body forward, elbows up, press back. And that just might feel a stronger position. If, however, it feels okay, holding the weights by your side, soften your knees, and let's bring the hips back, 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 back. So my back is straight, elbows up, push back. So I think pressing back from the elbows. Now, some of us might have elbows here, some of them might be a little bit lower. If you can feel a connection with the back of the arm and your back feels strong in position, then we're okay. But just make sure we're not bending this back. And if this is a difficult position for you, I want you to just sit down into your chair. But again, in reality, I suspect a lot of us might be a little bit straighter with the position, and that's okay. Again, once you can feel a little bit of work through the back of the arms without any tension on your back. And we continue on, pressing the weights behind from my elbows. Last rep or two. and straighten back up. Rest your weights down. So that's us finished our circuit, our block of strength work. We're just going to move into our stretches. So I'm going to start with a couple of upper body stretches just to relax the body down, and then we'll finish with a couple of seated lower body stretches. And I'll just turn my clock off so she stops shouting at us to keep working. So hopefully you enjoyed that. You can hear in my voice a little bit of a pant, maybe a light sweat, a little bit red, but not breathless. I'm not uncomfortable. There's no pain. The only challenge I felt was muscular kind of challenge. I felt my shoulder, my legs, all these areas working. So a couple of stretches, relaxing down. If you prefer, again, just to match these in a seated position. Hands together. Just gently bring the arms back, and I'll just stretch out my shoulders with this one. So how that looks, again, I just keep my hands together. I've lightly pulled the arms back and I hold. So I'm thinking I'm stretching, relaxing my body with these movements. So I'm not pulling so far back this would feel tense or uncomfortable. I'm just going to maintain my position. Nice long stretch. And then back down. So let's just stay as we are, keeping those hands together. And then again, just bringing the arms back. Nice straight arms. Pull back, holding your stretch. For a couple of seconds here. And just hold. Stretching out, connecting with my shoulders. And back down. Nice chest opener next. What I want to do is bring the arms by my side. The palms of the hands are forward. And I pull back. So you'll see that position of pull the arms back. My hands are behind my shoulders. And I expand or open out my chest in this position. And I just stay as I am. For a couple of seconds. And relax down. Just relaxing the tension in that position. Once again, palms of the hands forward. Gently bring those arms back as far as comfortable and expanding, opening out my chest in this position. And I just stay as I am, maintaining this position. Another couple of seconds, nice long stretch, and relax. Upper back or upper body. If we bring our fingers together, palms of the hands face forward. I push straight out from my chest, so my arms are straight. And I think connecting, stretching my upper body in this position. And we'll just maintain again. We like to hold for a good length of time. Think blood flow into the area, just stretch, relax the muscle. And back in, reset. And lightly, once again, press the arms straight in front. So stretching out in front, holding this position. If you find the fingers together difficult, just place one hand in front of the other. It's absolutely fine. And holding another couple of seconds here. And relax down. I'll just take a seat for the last stretches. We'll go with sitting right back into your chair. What I'm going to do is raise my right knee up, holding on to the knee, and just gently bringing it up towards chest. So it's going to be very nice on my glute here. Might feel the hip a little, and can be quite nice on the lower back as well. A nice, strong, secure position from seat. We just stay as we are for a couple of seconds longer. Holding the stretch. And back down. And I'll swap sides, just adjust, make sure I feel comfortable. Left knee, holding on with my hands. And then just gently raising that knee up towards chest, as high as comfortable. Again, all these stretches, I want them to feel nice, relaxing. So if you are strained and really difficult to hold, maybe just ease out of the position and touch. Hold, good strong hold. And last couple of seconds. Back down. And we'll just go very final one, just to bring the 2 feet up. point the toes forward, so I'll just stretch this front position. And I just want to maintain, so I keep this position. We stay here for a little block of time. Hold. And then I want to do the opposite, to pull the toes back towards me, stretching out my calves, back of the lower legs, just holding this position, staying as we are. Good long stretch, good long hold. Another few seconds. And rest down. Okay. And final part, just to relax our bodies fully down. I'm going to keep this very simple. Inhale through the nose and a nice slow exhale out the mouth. So how that looks. In through the nose, slowly out mouth. So I double the time of my exhale, really relaxing down. Inhale. And again. Two more. Okay, so that's your session completed. Thanks very much, Mary. That's great. Thanks very much for the comments. And likewise, any comments, please do let me know. Because any of that feedback does just let me know if I'm pushing the session too hard. If you need me to explain the adaptions a little bit more, anything like that, please do let me know. We'll really enjoy these sessions, and hopefully you do as well. So enjoy the rest of your day. We should be back again next Wednesday at the same time. And hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Brilliant work. We did push hard there. Aerobic work and strength work. That's the kind of foundation of what we're doing. Aerobic strength. So just building up endurance, thinking in the lungs, and also just working on muscle, keeping our muscle and bones strong with some of those movements. So thanks very much again, and well done, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.